right here is go back. What we're gonna do right here is go back. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, back.
Alright, welcome back to Kuma-style Reviews. I'm TJ Duckett, and we're continuing down the Fewture Mazinger path, or whatever, with the predecessor to the 1969 figures. This one's actually Mazinger 1901. Now, this isn't a die-cast figure like the EX Goken 1969 figures are, but it's still pretty cool, really sturdy. It's plastic cast, actually, which is made to emulate die-cast, and, like I said, really sturdy. But you'll notice off the bat that this is a more steampunk design to the robot itself. And once we take it out of the box and look over the figure, you'll definitely see where the 1969 line took cues from this figure in, you know, the more mainstream design they used. So yeah, Takusato definitely outdid himself with this one too. But just looking around at the box, I really like the artwork up top and stuff like that. I love that you see like the blade punishers and just pretty much everything that you get right out of the box. This is my first time. I just got it in the mail today. The finger I'm noticing is a bit bent here, his left hand, but we'll see if we can't get that, you know, blow dried or whatever we need to do back into place. Hopefully it's a soft enough plastic to mess with like that. Alright, and this one came in a few different versions. The one that I have is regular color, you know, black, red chest. There was also, like you'll see on here, a black with a gold chest. And I believe there was a Chinese Toys R Us exclusive that was all black and slate, which is like a dark gray and stuff like that. But, looking over the box here, you see some of the features of it. Alright, so articulated shoulders, you know, all of this good stuff. Wow, he has a detachable mouth plate. That's pretty cool. Alright. Powder in, powder off, like that kind of thing. And I'm interested in seeing how the powder works, because one thing that I saw on the side here is that he does come with a pilot. So this isn't canon, so I don't believe this is supposed to be like Koji Kabuto or anything like that, but it's cool that it came with a pilot to be inserted into him in the first place. So yeah, there's the box, and let's go ahead and get into the figure itself. Alright, so taking a look at what's in the box here. Of course you have Mazinger 1901 himself. We'll move him a little bit over to the side there. And in terms of accessories, we have the optional, the two open hands here. And these are actually articulated at the knuckles. That's why that one finger looks so out of place in the box section or whatever. You can actually wiggle these and move these around, so that's kind of cool. Alright. You have two options, and these fit internally inside of his forearms. We'll go over that when we look at the toy itself. You could have the blade punishers, like so, or you could just have them filled with, you know, generic internal whatever, his forearms. So that's pretty cool that they give you the option of either or without letting the forearms look hollow. So it also comes with a stand right here. This actually came to me sealed, so I'm going to leave that sealed, but you can see what the stand looks like. Fairly detailed and all that stuff, so pretty cool, pretty cool. And it does say, if you can't see it, Mazinger on the front there. Alright, so zooming back out here, we also have a piece to a scrander. Now, there are multiple characters released under this line. I believe it was him, Boss Barreau, or Borat, Douglas, and Garada, and Aphrodite. Okay, so I believe there were two pieces that came with, I don't know if they were just each of his wings or what, but pieces also came with Garada and Aphrodite. But this line got canceled prematurely. and not everybody was able to get these toys distributed to them. So they actually started releasing 2-packs of him and Garada, or 3-packs of him, Garada, and Aphrodite, which came with all of the pieces. But it looks like this is just the middle piece, and the 2 wings come with the other 2 characters, Aphrodite and Garada, which I mentioned. But okay, that's all what comes in the box, and let's go ahead and take a look at the figure himself. Alright, taking a look at Mazinger 1901, the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is knock out a height for him. So we're looking at about 9 inches on the dot. So in case you guys are wondering how this scales with the other Fewture Mazinger 1969 figures, let's go ahead and take a look at Integer 1969 so that you can see how they scale up to each other. And just slightly taller on the 1969 side. Let me go ahead and stand him a bit more straight up. So yeah, right around there. I would say same scale, not exactly the same height, but right in there for sure, because that one's about 9 1/4 inches tall. So okay, now that we've knocked out the height and the height comparison, let's take a look at the figure itself. One thing that I do want to take note of is the face here. You'll see that he does have the more standard grill plate, where the 1969 versions have the mouse with the moving whatever. But if you take a look, there's a reason my hand's on the camera now, the mask actually comes off here. So you can see that. And a very weird grasshopper-like face. You know, and this one definitely is represented by a powder and stuff like that, but I don't know. I guess even with the 1969 models, I don't understand it as much as I like the way the mouths look, since they're not thinking or sentient mecha. I don't really see the point, but I mean, it damn sure looks cool. I don't like this one quite as much as the teeth, more wide faces on the 1969, but it's cool that they threw it in for sure. Still looks great with the mask on. Alright, zooming back out now, go ahead and take a look on all sides here. And the way that the blade punishers, these blades go in, is this forearm pegs out, and these just peg in. Now, I did a little bit of thinking, and actually this, the standard without the blades, is just for the rocket punch. That's why he has the boosters on the back. So that's a nice throw in, and a lot of detail for something that's legit covered up by the forearms the whole time. Now, take a look at that. We'll go ahead and take a look at the articulation of the figure. Alright, zooming out here. The neck is on a hinge of its own, goes back and forth. Now the head does go side to side, so it definitely has that plenty of downward and upward movement, as well as full tilt there. Alright, no ab swivel or anything like that. We'll get into why. He does have bend at the waist. This is very tight, so I'm not messing with it too much. But looking at it, you know, it should be able to do a full 360, but it's not something I'm going to mess with. Now the shoulders definitely move in and out. The shoulder pads don't have their own separate space of movement. Alright, I'll let that go for a little bit. Definitely has bicep swivel here. Okay, I'll go ahead and just plug those right back in. I'm surprised that the blade punishers fell out, because those peg in really tight. But okay, for his elbow articulation here, this elbow's a little bit different. You'll see that there's a split here in the arm, and the elbow is actually only on the inside, so it's not a full elbow or whatever. So elbow bend there, not extremely far, but you know, standard. The wrists do swivel. They're not on a ball joint or anything like that. They simply peg in and out. Alright. Ball jointed. Well, not ball jointed, but full range of motion in the thighs. Okay. The backswing's kind of horrible. They do swing back, but not very much. Alright, now the knees, very limited in the knees, and there's no extension or anything like that for further bend. So the knees are actually kind of sad on this guy. Not the biggest fan. And the feet, there is some rock here in the front. It's on like a separate swivel. And the feet do go up and down. The front toes do. So, and notice that his feet have that heel design. So that's pretty cool. He's pretty stable. And let's go ahead and get him into a decent pose, I guess. So not quite as posable as the 1969 ones. So if you buy this, don't expect that kind of posability. But let's see if we can get these feet straight. Because even though the feet swivel, there's not much. And like I said, there's not really much knee bend. Okay, so there's that. Rocket punching at you. Hitting you with those blade punishers. Alright, so you notice that he didn't have ab articulation there. That's because of the way that his pilder works. He doesn't have a pilder design at the top of his head, which is, you know, the vehicle mecha that, or not mecha, but vehicles that plug into the top of their head so that they can be piloted blah, 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 by whoever, whether it's Tetsuya, whether it's Koji, whoever. Hell, even Dr. Hell when he takes one of them over. But okay, this is how the pilots work on this guy. Flip that up. The two back pieces fold out. And then, if you look inside, there is a whole, let me put that outside, a whole control unit in there. So that's really cool. Now, the seat flips out. The pilot, who's always in a sitting pose, pegs in. Okay? So see, he's now got a pilot pegged in. You just flip that back up. Flip these two back in. And boom, there we go. Completely cohesive, goes in very easily, and that is officially the most genius design that I've seen for a pilot on a Mazinger, period. I'm not the biggest fan of piloters or the vehicles sitting in the top of their head in general, so that was awesome to see. Now the only problem that I have with that is in terms of scaling, even though he technically is on scale with the 1969 figures, the fact that they have the really small vehicles at the top of their head, and he has a human that's almost the size of his torso, really makes for odd scaling when you think about it. But overall, you'll notice that this one is plastic cast, not die cast, very sturdy plastic, but it doesn't have those strong like ratcheting joints and things like that. So overall, not the same quality as the 1969 figures. Even though people will try to price them similarly, not anywhere near as worth it because of that. But one thing that this has that those don't is the airbrush features. Alright, you're going to see a bit of like dark washing and stuff like that around the metallic colors, like in the corners and crevices and stuff like that. And I gotta admit, it looks very, very good. I'm a big fan of black wash when it's done well. I am not that talented at it, so you'll never see a custom of mine with it, but I love when somebody who knows what they're doing does it right. So, okay, there is Mazinger 1901. Alright, and final thoughts on this guy. Honestly, it's a very, very well done piece for a plastic piece. I mean, I got this thing for $60 shipped, and it was well worth the price of admission. I believe it originally retailed at $45, which is what I paid, plus exact shipping. And yeah, for a plastic cast figure, it's very detailed. And also, you know, I love the fact that it's kind of a part of Fewture's history. If you're into the 1969 lines and stuff like that, it's cool to kind of have a predecessor piece as well that scales with them and looks good next to him. I mean, you saw when I put him next to Integer, he just doesn't look like junk in comparison. So that's pretty cool. Really into the steampunk design. The one thing that I don't like about this figure is the limited posability. You would think with it being a plastic figure, it would, you know, have more space for posability because you don't have those die-cast body parts and stuff like that to worry about breaking up the joints and things like that, but it's a lot less articulated than the, you know, almost completely die-cast EX Goken figures. So, I mean, minor gripes aside, it's still a cool and mildly posable figure, but at very least, for $60, this is something well worth buying just because of how cool it looks on your shelf and the historical value that it has. But anyway, this has been another Kuma Style review. I'm TJ Duckett, and see you next time.